Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. I am in my kitchen and I was making my shake this morning and I saw over here on the counter an open bottle of wine that my roommate must have opened. And oddly enough, there's not very much gone from it. But it got me thinking that, in June, May and June, I drank a lot of wine. I was out watching the Pens games, which for those of you in Pittsburgh know they had an amazing series. And so I was out a few times a week because I love to go watch the games with other people. It's more fun, I think, if you're in a crowd and everybody's rooting for the same people. But if you are out watching a game, especially at Carmela's, which I was at a lot, it's very easy to drink 1 or 2 glasses of wine at least, and that'd be fine if it was once a week or once in a while, but this was like multiple nights a week. So coming back from Nashville, which I was at for the Beachbody Conference, I kind of knew I wanted to just cut back. Like, my body was done. I was just done. And so when I started Country Heat, I haven't drank since. I had a half a glass of wine when I was out on the boat with my friend Todd to celebrate his water skiing achievement. And I didn't even miss it. Like, I had it was good, but I was not into it. It's weird. So even seeing this open bottle of wine on the counter, I mean, I know it's not even noon yet. So it's not like I would want to necessarily pour myself a glass of wine right now. But what I realized is how easy that once I give stuff like that up, it can get. So back in May and June, when I was going out for the games a lot, I would almost crave it, which is weird. I would be like, oh, it'd be such a great night to have a glass of wine. And now, like, I was out at Carmela's the other night, I didn't even want a glass. Like, I'm over it. I mean, I'm not saying I'll never drink wine again, clearly. But, hi, Lisa. Anyways, but the point I want to make in this video is that sometimes, hi Heather, we set ourselves up to believe that something that's really hard to give up is always going to feel hard. So for example, when I was out watching the Pens games, it would have been really hard to turn down a glass of wine, but after you give yourself a chance, I would suggest just being open to the possibility that someday it will feel differently. Hi, Disa, so good to see you. So that's the point today. So I'm in my kitchen making my shake, saw the open bottle of wine, and again, I'm not an alcoholic. It's not even noon. It is Friday though, but I'm not gonna pour a glass of wine regardless. But if I was back in the mode of where I was like in May and June, where I was drinking it frequently, I feel like I'd be thinking, oh, tonight might be a great night to pour a glass of wine. So what I want to tell you is there might be certain things in your life that are really hard to give up or seem really hard, but then after you cut it out for a little while, it actually becomes really easy. So I learned that lesson a long time ago with sugar. When I was still working at an office, hi Jennifer, thanks for jumping on. When I was still working at an office, people used to bring in snacks, and during the holidays was the worst because we used to get stuff sent to us from vendors. So we had boxes of chocolates and sweets and all kinds of crazy stuff that would just come piling into the office. And I noticed that if I ate some sweets, even if it was just like something little, for a couple of days in a row, my body would start to crave the sugar at the same time there on out. So even if I ran out of sweets, I would still be craving something sweet. Or if I forbid myself from eating those sweets, I would end up snacking in other ways. I could feel myself getting anxious about it. So what I learned was that if I cut out, if I'm in one of those modes where I'm craving sugar, I have to go cold turkey for 3 days. So not necessarily fruit is fine, not all sugars, but any kind of sweets or junk food kind of sweets, I had to cut out for 3 days. And once I get past that 3-day hump, it's really easy again. So what I want to encourage you all to do is to think about the things that might seem really hard to give up and find that limit for yourself of when that tipping point where it becomes easy. So, for example, with the sugar thing, if I'm in a phase where I'm eating a lot of junk food sweets and I'm starting to get into that again, I know that it just takes 3 days for me to go cold turkey and then it'll be easy. So knowing that helps me to push through because I know that in 3 days from now, it's not going to feel this hard. Hey, Sarah, how are you? Good to see you. So anyways, the other one I wanted to talk about was spending money. So this is just like weird quirks about me today. When I first finished college and started working, I remember I got my tax return for that first year and I saw how much interest had accumulated in about 4 months from my student loans. And I was like, heck no, this isn't gonna happen. Like I was so mad about how much interest I had to pay because it was, I think, considered a tax deduction, but I was still mad that I had to pay all this interest. So I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like I'm doing whatever it takes to pay these down as fast as possible. So I can be weirdly competitive about these things, like competitive with myself. So when I set a rule about something, like I will go to extremes to follow through. So I decided that I wasn't going to spend money for the rest of that year. Like, I mean, could buy groceries or gas for my car to get to work and that was it. And so I took it to like weird extremes where I started like digging through my cabinets and I was trying to eat all the food that I had that had been sitting in my cabinets for years. So that's weird because then you end up eating a bunch of canned soups and stuff. But I also had some frozen vegetables that I would eat and stuff like that. I don't think that lasted more than 2 weeks, but the spending thing did. So what I would do is if I was at the store and I saw a pair of gloves or some kind of shirt that I wanted, I would just tell myself that I'm going to wait until the deadline that I set for myself to buy this. Well, it turns out a few months later, half of that stuff that I thought I wanted, I didn't even care about anymore. And on top of that, in the meantime, I had been able to save up a bunch of money that I would have been spending. And I would go out with my friends and we would go to restaurants and I would order water and free bread. Like that's how extreme I was about it. I was like, sorry guys, not spending money. And I like tore through my student loans in the first year after I set that goal for myself. So again, things like that can actually be really empowering. I think I did that once since. It was when I first found out, I was coaching at that time, but it was when I first found out I might be losing my job. So I challenged myself to see how long I could go without spending money. So I was buying food, gas, and I think Shakeology, but that's factored as part of my food budget for me. So it's really empowering when you can see that you actually can go without spending money. You just have to have discipline and you have to not care about what people think. So if I was going out with my friends, I would be like, hey, let's do something free or let's go for a walk or I'm trying not to spend money right now, and you have to not care. So those are just some weird examples of things that I've done. And again, you're learning about all my weird quirks this morning. But my general take-home message is whatever it is in your life that you're trying to give up or change, just leave space for yourself that it might someday be easier. So no matter how hard it feels giving up what you're trying to give up, you might feel totally differently tomorrow. Seriously. So if you are really struggling to give up a certain type of junk food, or maybe you're trying to give up pop or wine like I was, it might be really hard at first. And then one day you might just wake up and it'll be easy. So when you're starting to try something like that, don't assume that it's going to feel that hard the entire time, because most of the time it won't. So those are my tips for you. If you have any other questions about the money thing, if you want to know more specific examples of how I did that or what I wasn't spending money on or what I did instead to avoid that, I'll be happy to share that with you. The sugar thing, same thing. If you want to know more specifics about any time I felt like I was really caught up in sweets, how I went cold turkey and how I got over that. Or the wine, like I said, for me, it was just more like my body needed a break. But I was amazed today that I just I don't even that wine doesn't even look appealing to me. I'm over it. So yeah, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to elaborate. Thanks for watching, guys. Heather, yeah. So I would suggest if you're buying things for no reason, like ask yourself why, or just set a goal of putting it off for a month. So the time that you delay those purchases is time where your income can go to other things. So if you have credit card debt, or if you have student loans or anything like that, that income can be put to other things and to help get you ahead. So like I said, I can be really extreme about that. I've literally never rolled over a credit card balance because I literally can't stand to feel ruled by money or by owing somebody else money. I paid my student loans down as fast as I possibly could, and I went to extremes to do it, but I don't care. It was worth it. So for those kinds of things, so now I spend money on things that are really worth it to me. So anything related to my health and fitness, if it's fitness gear or things like when I was running a lot, things that would make my life easier, like I have a little spy belt, stuff like that. If it's gonna make my life easier to do something healthy or to do something work related, so spending the money to upgrade my computer, stuff like that is worth it to me. But there are a lot of things that just aren't worth it to me that I will put off. So for example, I'll take you into my living room. Our couches are really, really old. They have like slip covers on them. I don't know if you can see them. They're not cute at all. But if I would have bought new couches at the appropriate time that a normal person would have bought new couches, I would have needed new couches by now. So it's just not something that's that important to me. For some people, that's totally important to them, and that's A-okay. But just take a time to stop and evaluate what's really important to you and where you're spending your money. That's my advice. And only spend it on the things that are worthwhile and aligned to your long-term goals. So for anything that's not aligned to your long-term goals, do you really need it, or can you put it off? So I would say oftentimes it's worth putting off and letting your income accumulate to be directed towards the things that are really worth it to you and can be put in productive uses. So if you have any more questions, post below. I'll check the chat after. But thanks for watching. I can be a little, like I said, weird and quirky sometimes, or extreme. So thanks for watching, and I will talk to you guys soon. I hope everybody has a happy Friday and a great weekend.